I want to talk about a tool that does not get utilized enough by shamans, and that tool is using a juiced Fire Ele. And what I mean by using a juiced Fire Ele is Fire Elementals scale incredibly well with spell power. In fact, here are the numbers. So base is 134 per melee swing. The Fire Nova is base 703. And with my Fire Ele set, I have gotten the average hit up to 1.1k and the Fire Nova up to 1.7k, so adding 1,000 to base for both the melee and the Fire Nova for a single target. And this has allowed me to get up to 462 DPS on an Anetheron guild that we did last week. And if I did not juice the Fire Ele, it would have been about 200 DPS, so it's an increase of about 262 DPS. And that is quite substantial if you think about it, because most raids run 2 Enhancement Shamans, 260 times 2, that's 500. If you have Resto Shamans, they can do it as well, and that can increase your raid DPS substantially. If you want to compare it to Fire Twisting, this was the same exact fight, and the other shaman in my raid did not use a Fire Ele. He was using Sad Fire Twisting, and the difference between the Chad Fire Ele and the Sad Fire Twisting is about 400 DPS. That Fire Ele has allowed me to do quite well on Anetheron and other fights, and currently that parse on Anetheron is 3,566 DPS, which is 300 DPS above the next closest shaman, and that actually is the highest parse period for Enhancement Shamans in all of TBC. Creating a juiced Fire Ele is really easy. All that you need to do is put on a set of gear with a bunch of bonus damage on it, namely nature damage. It can be just regular spell damage that works as well. And you need to drop your Fire Ele totem and then switch back to your normal gear. So even though with this gear on, I have 529 bonus damage, it remembers, the Fire Ele remembers the 1280 number. That's what it's scaling off of. The Fire Ele scales off of the set of gear that you're wearing when you drop the totem, not what you're currently wearing at the given moment. It's snapshotting. It works in the exact same way as the Diamond Flask set in vanilla. So warriors, what they did was they got a bunch of bonus healing gear. They stole a bunch of healing gear from the healers, put that on, popped their Diamond Flask, and then they switched back to the regular gear. But in this situation, it's the shamans stealing all of the bonus spell damage gear from the casters, dropping their Fire Ele totem, and then switching back to their normal gear. There's a couple of ways that you can get that bonus damage number up higher. Like, so without buffs, I'm at 1280. Well, what you can do is you can put on your 2-piece tier 4 and drop your Wrath of Air totem, snapshot that. You can snapshot the Strength of Earth, put on your regular gear. You can put on the Superior Wizard Oil to your main hand. You can put on the Superior Wizard Oil to your offhand. It's ever getting higher and higher. When you pop you can put on a Shatrath Flask of Blinding Light. It's not going to really do anything because I'm not in Hydro, Black Templar, Sunwell. But if I was, that would work too. You pop your trinkets, and then you drop it. So with this set on currently, I have 1839. So I drop the Fire Ele totem, I save my emote, and call it a day. So even though now I have 718 bonus damage, in reality it remembers that previous number. I did it really slow, but you don't have to go that slow. With the macro, you can do it in an instant. Getting stuck in your Fire Ele gear is kind of scary, and this was a pull from a couple of weeks ago, and someone ninja pulled. However, with the macro, it's kind of easy to get the Fire Ele off and switch back to your normal gear. It just takes a split second. And here you'll see someone they pop their pet, and it ninja pulls. However, I'm able to get the Fire Ele off and switch to my flask without any downtime. I might have been a little slow to get there, but in any case, I was able to switch quickly even though there was a ninja pull. And the macro that I use to do that is right here. I'll include it. It's in my Discord. I can include it in the description as well. And it's really, really simple. I use itemrack, and it's /use 13. So use my top trinket, use 14, use the bottom trinket, cast the Fire Ele totem, and then switch back to my normal gear and then yell something ridiculous. So it's as simple as that. And it's good to go. To make this a much easier, I use itemrack. And with my current setup, I have two sets of gear with itemrack. I have Enhance PvE, and I have one called Fire Ele. So what I do is I use a macro and do /itemrack toggle Fire Ele to put on the Fire Ele gear. And then the next macro, what it essentially does is it pops the two trinkets, and then casts the Fire Ele totem, and then it switches back to my PvE gear. And what this does is it snapshots the Fire Ele with the trinkets and my Fire Ele set on, drops the Fire Ele totem, and then puts my normal gear back on. And it is as simple. I also have a theoretical BIS list for this particular phase that I will include in the description. But just to go over it shortly, it's a lot of gear that most people do not want. Leggings of Devastation really only get used by people that want to make a spell pen set currently. I don't have it, but I'm aiming to get it. Heck, Shrunken Head, that is actually quite contested at the moment, but what I'm aiming for currently are the Season 3 weapon. I'm almost up to being able to purchase it, as well as this dagger out of Karazhan, which is quite hard to get because you not only have to get it to drop, but you have to get the specific boss because it comes off the opera and the Romeo and Juliet fight. Something else that's a little bit more interesting is you can get 2-piece tier 6 and gain additional 45 damage by putting down all your totems first before summoning your Fire Ele. The situations where I have found to use the Fire Ele useful is in Mount Hyjal and a couple of fights in Black Temple, specifically Blood Boil, Illidan, Shaz, if you pay a healer to keep your Fire Elemental healed, and I've seen people even do it on Agentis. I'm sure there's many more parsing bosses that you could use it on, but those Terran Gorfians that I haven't mentioned, but for parsing, those are the ones that come to mind right off the top of my head. But I think that you can get value out of it, just not in parsing, but just in general for speedrunning as well. One area that I think you might be able to get value out of it, depending on how your guild pulls, is on the trash leading up to Akama. As you saw, you can drop your Fire Ele juiced with a single global, and you can get incredible value out of it. So if I was doing 460 DPS single target, I can't imagine what you can reach with many targets that you would get in a speedrun situation. The only real issue is backspace, honestly, because I do have quite a lot of pieces of gear for the Fire Ele set. But yeah, this is a technique that I don't see utilized too often, and I think you can really improve your guilds. It can be used as a tool in speedruns, it can be used as a tool for parse guilds, and I'm looking forward to see how people use the Fire Elemental Totem in the future, because it does not get utilized enough currently. So, TLDR time. If you're trying to min-max Shaman, you should probably get a Fire Ele set. All that you need to do is go to the auction house, pick up Of Nature's Wrath gear, go to raids, pick up gear that has bonus damage on it that other people do not want, throw it on, drop your Fire Ele totem, switch back to your normal gear. If you have any questions though, please ask in the comment section. You can also come over to my Discord channel and ask there, or you can come over to my Twitch and you can ask me there as well. I stream Wednesdays, Saturdays, and Sundays, and I hope this has been helpful.